Hey Transformers fans, welcome back. Here with another video to help you guys out if you're interested in getting started with customizing Transformers. And this time, we covered in the last video kind of the basics and the supplies and stuff that you might want to have on hand to get started. And in this video, I'm just going to focus on one particular thing that I found to sort of be the easiest and fastest way to get started with Transformers customizing, and that's giving the wheels a little bit of a touch-up, because I'm sure that as you're looking through your collection, you'll notice that an awful lot of the figures that you probably have, the rims of the wheels are probably just plain black plastic. And while for some bots it probably looks okay, for the most part, these guys really do look a lot better with silver rims, like they do in the cartoon shows and in the movies and everything. So that was the first thing that I ever started doing when I started customizing Transformers. Was I just started adding paint to the rims of some of the figures that I felt really needed it. It has a lot of advantages when you get started with just the wheels, because it's a very sort of small focused area of the figure. It doesn't seem overly daunting. You've got 4 wheels, you got a little bit of work to do, but it's not terribly hard to get started with it. And you really don't need much in terms of supplies. Basically, you just need some silver. So I found that painting the rims is a great way to sort of build up your confidence, get your figures to start looking more the way that you want them to, without having to invest a lot in terms of supplies and parts. And it's easy to fix if you make a mistake, because you can always take the paint off or just paint them black again. So getting started with wheels is pretty simple. And there's a couple of different ways that I've added silver paint to Transformers wheels over the time that I've been customizing. And there's 2 methods that I find sort of are easiest. The first and most easiest way to add silver paint to a Transformers wheel is by using a silver Sharpie pen. And I touched on this in my previous video on the basic stuff, but these really are very handy little pens, because they've got a great silver finish on them. They're very easy to use. They've got a nice fine tip, which means you can kind of get into all of the little nooks and crannies in a wheel. And it's fast and easy, it dries quick, and it looks great. My Studio Series Jazz here, I painted his rims using a silver Sharpie, and I think they turned out really good. It took me like maybe 15 or 20 minutes to do all 4 rims, and the end results, I think, look pretty sharp. Now, the other guys that I've customized the wheels for in the past, I just started really using Sharpies just recently. I don't know why it took me so long to get them. But for the most part, my previous customs have all been done with a brush and wet paint, including Special Ops Jazz here, as well as my The Last Night Voyager Class Optimus Prime. Now, he's obviously been heavily customized. He's got a lot more silver paint on him. He's got the Toy Hacks Repro Labels sticker set for the flames and all of the chrome accents and stuff. And we'll talk a little bit more about doing stickers and sticker sets, label sets in a future video. But for now, I'm just going to talk about the wheels, because there's a couple things that you'll notice when you start working on these guys and start wanting to repaint the wheels, is you'll find that there's 2 different styles of wheels in terms of how they're actually attached to the bot. So if we look at Special Ops Jazz here, and we take a close-up look at the wheel, you'll see, and I'm just going to use the toothpick here to kind of point it out, you'll see that right in the center, right there, is a metal pin that is pressed into a hole in the leg, which you can kind of see a little bit. It's hard to see, but right there is the back of the pin. Now, taking out wheels or taking off wheels that have been pinned in place can be difficult. So I would generally, if you're just beginning, I would generally not recommend trying to take off the wheel to paint it if it's been pinned in there. Maybe in a future video I'll talk about how to take pins out, but it is a little tricky. And I generally try to avoid it if at all possible. So this particular robot, I just sort of painted the rims on while they were on him. So I would hold the wheel with my finger like this to keep it from spinning, and kind of just like go in with the brush into all the nooks and crannies, using a very fine tipped brush to make sure that it's not going to slop the paint all over the place, and just kind of go over it little by little until you cover the whole thing. Now, one of the things that you'll notice is when you are painting rims with a brush and wet paint is occasionally you'll go kind of like a little bit further and you'll hit some of the tire where you don't want that paint to be. And generally, because I use the Tamiya acrylic paints, which are very easy to work with, they're water soluble and they're easy to get off. They also are easy to take off if you happen to make a mistake. So just wait for the paint to dry, and then using one of those stiff, round toothpicks, just kind of gently rub the area where you made the mistake, and the paint will come off, and you'll find it very, very easy to clean up those mistakes. Another way to clean up a mistake, if you do happen to make it, is by touching it up with black paint. Now, when you're painting over a silver mistake with a black paint, make sure that you get the right finish of black, because what you'll find is that there's three different kinds of finishes. You'll find gloss black, semi-gloss black, and flat black. It goes from really shiny to not shiny at all. And I find that if you use the gloss black, the really shiny one, it actually becomes very, very noticeable that you've put black paint on the tire, unless you're going to do the whole thing and you want it to be really shiny. I also find that flat black on a tire like this is too flat, and it ends up looking like the finish of the plastic is kind of halfway between a gloss and a flat, and that's where the semi-gloss black comes in. And I find that the semi-gloss black does a very good job of doing minor touch-ups on tires without becoming really obvious. It kind of matches the standard finish of the plastic pretty well. So if you're just doing a touch-up, you can use that semi-gloss black, and it does a good job of hiding any mistakes that maybe you couldn't get off with the toothpick by scraping. So I talked about Jazz's wheels being pinned in to the figure, which are a little more difficult to remove, but you'll also find some figures where the wheels are just snapped in and can be popped off, and that's the case with Optimus here. So if I sort of unfold his leg here so I can get a better look at the back end of the wheel, you'll see, get it kind of close in, you'll see that there's like these 3 prongs of plastic inside that little housing that are holding the wheel in. Now, using firm pressure, you can kind of wiggle it and the wheel pops off, just like that. You want to make sure that you're not like yanking on it or, trying to pry it off. You really want to use gentle but firm pressure, and then it'll pop right off. And then you can work with the wheel without having to accidentally, worry about accidentally maybe getting some on the figure, or, sometimes it's just easier to work with a small piece than it is with it attached to the bot. So if you can take the wheels off, it makes it a little bit easier to make sure that you're not going to make any extra mistakes, or sometimes it's just easier to get in there. So check that. If you can take the wheels off, you might want to try doing that. And then putting it back on is simply a matter of lining it up with the hole, giving it a press, and there you go. Wheels back on, ready for action. So that's kind of the basics of customizing Transformer wheels. I mean, there's really not a whole lot else to it. You can get started with something as simple as like a $2 Sharpie silver pen, like I did with Jazz there, and immediately you've got, shiny silver rims. Or you can spend a little bit more time and, use your silver paint and get in there with a brush and do it that way. But I mean, really, there's no right or wrong way. It's just one's sort of easier and faster than the other, but they both end up obviously with great results. I mean, this Jazz's wheels look pretty nice. This Jazz's wheels look pretty nice. So it's really up to you how you want to do it. But customizing the rims on a Transformer is probably the easiest way to get started into the world of customizations. I mean, it takes a few seconds, and it makes a big difference in how the figure looks. I mean, when you look at, for example, like Studio Series Springer here, I haven't painted his rims yet, but you can kind of see that they're dull and uninspiring, and they've got the red plastic in the middle. So, even if I just took some black paint and painted that little red nub black, it would kind of do a world of good to make that figure look a lot cooler in vehicle mode. So I might just do that. But yeah, I mean, starting with wheels, great way to get started. And then you're well on your way to developing the fine skills and the precision to do bigger customizations as you go. So anyway, that's kind of how you do Transformer wheels. I hope that this video has been helpful. Hope it's kind of inspired you to get started, making your figures look the way that you want them to. If you have any questions at all about any of this stuff, drop me a line in the comments. Happy to answer any questions you've got. Or if you just want to sort of chime in with your thoughts, would love to hear them. I also would love a like, a subscribe, a share, anything that you could throw my way would be great. Otherwise, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll do my best to get back at you soon with another video. Cheers.